Tommy, a 15-year-old boy with butterflies in his stomach, had arranged to meet Alice, the girl who had captured his heart. His father had kindly agreed to bring him to Alice's house in their trusty old van, assuring Tommy, "I'll pick you up at 8. As the fog seemed to increase, Tommy ventured toward a quaint cabin where he was to meet Alice. Upon arriving at the cabin, an eerie silence engulfed him. There was no one in sight, and the stillness of the surroundings was unsettling. Tommy hesitated for a moment before approaching the cabin. The door stood ajar, inviting him inside. With a hesitant voice, he called out, "Alice!" But no one answered. Surprised by the cabin's neglect, considering it was Alice's home, Tommy's curiosity grew. Suddenly, a glimmer of hope broke through the tension as Tommy glanced out of the window. There, in the distance, he spotted a figure in the meadow, approaching the cabin. A rush of excitement surged through him, and he couldn't help but smile. "Alice!" Tommy exclaimed, leaving the cabin behind and running towards her with a heart full of joy. However, as he drew nearer to the approaching figure, dread washed over him. Alice's unsteady gait and unnatural movements sent shivers down his spine. Tommy slowed his pace, observing her cautiously. When he finally reached her, the horrifying truth hit him like a freight train. His beloved Alice was now a grotesque zombie, her form already decomposing, inching ever closer with relentless determination. In a desperate bid to escape, Tommy turned and sprinted back towards the cabin, his heart pounding in his chest. He managed to slip inside and slammed the door shut, locking it securely behind him. Through the cabin's window, Tommy watched as Alice's zombified form drew closer and closer, filling him with a sense of dread. He hurriedly closed the cabin's curtains, praying that hiding would spare him from her notice. With trembling hands, Tommy rummaged through the cabin, searching for any means of defense. Finally, he discovered a knife and retreated to a corner, clutching it tightly, his senses on high alert. Outside, Alice had reached the cabin door and began banging on it relentlessly, demanding entry. Tommy fought to maintain his composure, his silence, fearing that any noise might reveal his location. Alice began to pace around the cabin, her decaying form casting eerie shadows through the window. Tommy tracked her every move with fearful eyes. Alice's zombie returned to the door, resuming her relentless assault. In a moment of desperation, Tommy opened a window and slipped out of the cabin, racing toward the distant silhouette of his father's van. "Dad!" Tommy shouted frantically, his voice echoing through the fog. "Dad, wait for me!" He reached the van, threw himself inside, and locked the doors, only to be met with a sickening thud against the windows. It was Alice's grotesque figure, her rotted flesh smeared against the vehicle's glass. Leave me alone!" Tommy cried out. Alice continued to claw at the windows, her relentless hunger unabated. "Dad! Dad! Where are you?" Tommy's panicked cries filled the air. But there was no response. He soon realized the horrifying truth as he spotted another zombified figure outside the van. His own father. "No!" Tommy cried. In the distance, more and more zombies emerged from the fog, drawn by the commotion surrounding the van. Tommy was trapped, alone and terrified, in what had become an inescapable death trap. This is the channel you've been screaming for. Subscribe.